Good evening, everyone, and welcome. To start off this evening, we have a council informational this evening, and it's a presentation giving us some information and updates on Girls State and Boys State. And where'd he go? Oh, Larry? The floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor Nystrom. We of American Legion Post 104 in Taftville are truly honored that you and the members of the City Council have permitted us this opportunity to present these young men and women who will attend this year's Boys State and Girls State. Mr. Mayor, by just attending Boys State and Girls State, these young men and women's names will be added to a short list of distinguished Americans who have gone before them. They include just a few mentioned here: one President Bill Clinton, a Vice President Dick Cheney, one Secretary of State, one Secretary of the Navy, one Secretary of Education, 3 United States ambassadors, 26 governors, including the former Connecticut Governor Bill O'Neill, 17 United States senators, including our own former Senator Joseph Lieberman and the present Senator Chris Murphy, 17 United States congressmen, one member of the United States Supreme Court, the Honorable Samuel Alito, 4 state secretaries of state, 5 astronauts attended Boys State and Girls State. Many United States senators, mayors, 4 nationally known authors, 12 chief executive officers of major corporations in America, the director of the Peace Corps, Gaddis Vasquez, 2 state attorney generals, 1 Rhodes Scholar attended, 6 university presidents, Dr. Owen Perlman, the famous traumatic brain injury surgeon, 2 chief justices, 2 army generals, 1 admiral, 2 NFL football coaches, and the list goes on. Mr. Mayor, our Senior Vice Commander Dennis Lisi will now introduce the young men and women who will attend this year's Boys State and Girls State. Dennis, please.
Mr. Mayor, good evening.
Good evening.
These are the young men who will attend Boys State, which will be held at Eastern State University. Henry Vanas, Anthony Sylvia, and John Holsworth. These young women will be attending Girls State at Post University. Tila Avery, Leica Bertrand, and Sonny Pierre, Sabrina Zhang, and Natalie Palomino. Mr. Mayor, Post 104's Boys State and Girls State program spans over 30 years, and our week-long program evolves around quality leadership and commitment. This program continues today because of the committed dedication of Legionnaire Al Butters, who has been the leading force behind this program since its undertaking by our post these many years ago. He has worked with our Norwich school counselors, who together have made our program what it is today. Think of the countless men and women who have led quality, productive, community lives all these years because of the commitment of Legionnaire Butters and our terrific school counselors. Let me have him introduce the ones that are with us tonight. Legionnaire Butters.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, last year, one young man attended Boys State from Norwich Technical High School. His name is Eddie Cruz. However, in a few days, thanks to a great supporting mom and dad and a wonderful team of school advisors, this young man will become Cadet Eddie Cruz as he enters the United States Military Academy at West Point. So, Mr. Mayor, we at the American Legion Post 104 and the community at large present him to you. I'm going to present student council from NFA. I have career counselor Kathleen Lozier, and also from NFA we have the department head of history department, Karen Cook. From Norwich Technical School, we have school counselor Amanda Pearson, and we have Dr. Michael Kaiser, assistant principal.
Welcome all.
I'll let you know. Thank you. I'm done. It's the mayor's show now, okay?
My show. Well, it's our show. Manny, would you like to come up as well, please? Actually, I'll come down to where you are.
I want to say thank you to the mayor and the city council for inviting the Office of Congressman Courtney to this humble today. Eddie Cruz applied for West Point a few months ago. He's probably been working on it for many, many years, and there's no bigger honor and there's no bigger commitment than wants to serve your country. So accolades to you. You worked very hard, and it's well deserved for where you're at right now. I served 30 years and retired, many over here, and we're going to welcome you to the ranks here soon. So Congressman Courtney wanted me to come over here, so on behalf of Congressman Courtney, come on up. In the 2nd Congressional District, I'm going to present you a certificate of special congressional recognition presented to Eduardo Cruz on the occasion of your appointment to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, dated June 17, 2019, signed Congressman Joe Courtney. Well, and the congressman wanted you to have one of his coins. This is going to be the first of many coins that you're going to collect.
Heard about that?
Okay, you heard about them? Mm-hmm. Cherish the first one. You're not going to get them in a case, okay?
Not going to look as pretty?
No. Congratulations.
First, let me acknowledge all of you who are going off the Boys and Girls State. The city is very proud of you, very happy that you are here, and that we have an opportunity to acknowledge and give recognition for what you're doing and what you're achieving. At the same time, we learned of Eddie's appointment to West Point, and we thought it would make a nice opportunity to see the future and this man's future at the same time. Give acknowledgement to all of that, because I know this is not the last day of success for any of you. There is a lot more ahead, a lot more to follow. With this young man, this is your night. And so the Congressman's officer here, Manny, is here to acknowledge you, and the city would like to acknowledge you as well. This is a city proclamation. Whereas the United States Military Academy and West Point mission is to educate, train, and inspire the Corps of Cadets so that each graduate is a commissioned leader of character committed to the values of duty, honor, country, and prepared for career professional excellence and service to the nation as an officer in the United States Army. Whereas Eddie Cruz is a senior at the Norwich Technical High School who will graduate this month and has been accepted to West Point Academy. where he will pursue a degree in civil engineering. It is due to report to the Academy on July 1st, 2019 to begin his military transitioning phase, whereas Eddie Cruz credits Norwich Tech with instilling in him values of leadership and teamwork as a Student Congress President, Student Council Vice President, National Honor Society parliamentarian, whereas Eddie Cruz is a member and executive officer of the National Honor Society, Secretary to the class of 2019, High School Scholar of 2019. He excelled at sports and was captain of the track team, played football for 4 years. He attended Norwich Tech. Whereas Eddie Cruz attended Boys State last year and gained an appreciation of the military and military life. He was posted to a week at West Point and chose to apply. Was interviewed by Congressman Courtney's office, who sponsored him for the Academy. He then underwent several interviews of former Academy graduates before being selected as a member of the incoming class of 1,400 cadets. Whereas Eddie Cruz has volunteered his time at East Great Plains Volunteer Fire Department, Otis Library, Bully Busters, Summer Jam, and Learn, where he was a positive role model for the kids. Now therefore, I, Mayor Peter Albert Nystrom, and Norwich City Council President Pro Tem Bill Nash, on behalf of the Norwich City Council and the citizens of the city of Norwich, we hereby thank Eddie Cruz for his dedicated efforts to make Norwich a better place and wish him the best in his military service, dated the 17th day of June 2019. Signed by myself and Pro Tem Nash. Cannot congratulate you enough, young man, and wish you the very best. Would you like to speak?
Well, personally, I have a lot to credit for Boys State especially. I just want to take a moment to talk to you guys. What you guys are about to go into is you don't know what you're going into, just to say that. There's going to be times where you're going to stay up a little later than usual to write the speech for the next morning because you really want that position. And you're going to have to go for that position in order to keep going up. And it actually, it matters going up more and more because when you apply to colleges, they're going to see that, hey, that was Governor of Boise State, or hey, that was Secretary of State for Boise State. So you guys, you'll understand what that means the more you go on. But as soon as you get there, just have that mindset, all right, to get those speeches in and to present yourself. And of course, make friends, yeah. Because the friends that I've had there, I still talk to all the time. They're always like, hey, Eddie, what are you up to? I'm like, hey, I'm going to West Point. And they're like, oh, that's cool. And I'm going to Yale. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. So definitely just make sure to hold on to those people and keep going forward. Other than that, like my time here in Norwich, I like to say I made the most of it. You know, going to the summer jam and learning, counselor, doing everything that I could to just make myself the best person I could possibly be in order to provide me with all the opportunities to do that. And I'm so grateful that I've been raised here and that they have shaped me to where I'm going to be, right? So hopefully I can continue this route that I'm going in leadership and what I decide to do, whether it be civil engineering or something else I decide to do. But I just know that West Point is going to be around. So wish you luck, guys. Thank you.
Why didn't you?
Yes.
You're watching CTN.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rosa Rada. I'm the statewide 2Gen coordinator. Welcome to our June meeting of the 2Gen Advisory Board. How about, just to begin, we all go around and just say our name and organization. Starting with Steve.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Hernandez. I'm the Executive Director of the Legislature's Commission on Women, Children, Seniors, Equity, and Opportunity.
This way. Good morning. My name is Melvette Hill. I'm the State Coordinator for the Parent Leadership Training Institute. I'm also a 2Gen consultant.
Good morning. I'm Amy Porter. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Rehabilitation Services.
Hi, good morning. I'm Representative Robin Comey, representing Brantford, the 102nd District, and also a coordinator of an early childhood organization in my community. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Rebecca Allen from Melville Charitable Trust. Sorry, I did that to you.
Good morning. I'm Betty Sugarman Weintraub. I'm the Grant Program Manager at CHIFA, the Connecticut Health and Educational Facilities Authority.
Hi, I'm Cassandra DeFelice. I'm representing Connecticut Council for Family Service Agencies.
Good morning. Charlene Russell Tucker, representing the Department of Education.
Good morning. Sharon Condell, Director of Integrated Services at the Department of Social Services.
Hi, everyone. Richard Porth from United Way of Connecticut.
Good morning. Debbie Purio from Integrated Health Services.
Good morning. Dante Bartolomeo, Deputy Commissioner, Department of Labor.
Rama Verastudia, Department of Higher Ed.
Josephine Howard, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Administration for Children and Families in the Region 1 office, Boston.
Maggie Adair, Director of Government and Community Relations at the Office of Early Childhood.
Rich Sussman, the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving, Early Childhood Investments.
Good morning, everyone. Jeff Curry, State Representative, East Hartford, Manchester, South Windsor, and also the 2Gen co-chair along with Senator Marilyn Moore.
And Senator Moore apologizes that she can't be here today. Something came up last minute. But I wanted, on behalf of all the 2Gen stakeholders in the state, and especially this group right here, to thank you, Representative Curry and Senator Moore in her absence, for successful passage of the bill this year and all the work you did ushering that forward.
I'd like to take the credit, but actually all credit is due to Rosa, who shepherded this legislation through the committee process and stayed on all of us to ensure that it passed successfully through the Senate and through the House. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So next we're going to turn to the community updates. So I think we've hit an exciting stride with 2Gen in that last week there was a culmination of a series of 2Gen communities. So Melvette and I, in Liz Fraser's absence, will give you a quick update. So for those of you who aren't as familiar, there was 2Gen communities that were created in the legislation in 2015, funded by state appropriations. And then over time, when there was a budget crisis and that got pulled back a bit, the Connecticut Association for Human Services stepped in. So last week, the 3.5-year grant came to culmination, and there were 2 different learning forums where the community shared some of the great work they did. So, Melvette, if maybe you could chime in.
Okay, so hello everyone. So the communities met in 2 different forums, and they shared some of their learnings as well as some of the 2Gen systems change and practices that they implemented. So they were very excited to do that amongst themselves, as well as share out with other communities that might not already be in our 2Gen community learning. So that was good. And then also we hosted one of 2 family-centered coaching trainings where we're working with case managers to really look at their families from a strength-based, asset-based mindset. So that was great. On June 20th, we're doing the second one, and we'll be wrapping that up. Yeah.
Thank you, Melvette. And maybe as a quick, concrete example, so these 2Gen communities funded by the Connecticut Association for Human Services, it was Kellogg Foundation funding, and a good example of their work was the new.
Good evening. We'd all join us, please. We'll be led in prayer by Alderman Joe DeLucia.
Almighty God, we ask for your blessing upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that all our decisions are for the common good, and your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all our deliberations. Give us the strength and wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings and keep us faithful to the trust placed in us by the citizens of your community. Amen.
Thank you. Yeah, Alderman Burnham, please.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. First on our agenda this evening is citizen comment general, and I declare that open. Two people did sign up ahead of time, and the first one is Mr. Marvin Cerruto.
Marvin Cerruto, 100 Star Street, Norwich, Connecticut, United States of America. First and foremost, I wanted to thank each and every one of you for the hard work and time you put in to the budget for the city of Norwich. I, for one, am trying to take this budget as serious as possible. I encourage each and every one of you to continue to do that. I, for one, if I were sitting up there, would be a zero increase, always, all the way. That is what I would do. Maybe one day I'll get to do that. The point that I'm trying to make here is that the majority of people I speak with move to places for an economic reason. And I would like to see Norwich be that economic reason. I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Brian Kobolars.
Brian Kobolars, 16 Hobart Avenue. Hope I can even begin to read some of this. Eyes are a bit dilated today. Over the past couple of years, we've come through a couple of very tough budget cycles. Very, very tough. And we've seen the need for communication to take place up here. Now, back on December the 5th, 2017, this council was sworn into office and established their rules of order. There were 3 city council committees that were named that evening. One of them that Bill Nash runs, public safety. I've attended numerous of those meetings. He's done an exceptional job running that, and the meetings have been informative and progressive, working in the best interest of the city. Unfortunately, I haven't been there for Public Works. But I did make note that during the past couple of years that other citizens in the audience have asked that the City Council begin working on the budget earlier. Makes sense. On December the 5th, when you folks were all sworn in, the mayor also named a 3rd council committee made up of 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat. This would have gone a long way to getting communication going, gathering information, ensuring that the fellow council members as well as the public had input and was ensured of proper data and information to make the budget sequence that much better. That's the Budget and Finance Committee. A year and a half later, not one meeting has taken place, no organizational meeting, no minutes, no conversation that would equate to a meeting. So we lost that opportunity. My question is, why is it that after 2 completed budgets, why is it taking so long? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak during the citizen comment general on items? Yes, Mr. Kraft.
Good evening, David Crabb, 47 Prospect Street. My two-page handout reveals how quickly Connecticut changed from one of the nation's wealthiest to being the deepest in debt since Governor Weicker gambled at a slice of gaming would support education budgets for 169 municipalities. To start off, page 2 is a critique of Virginia, where classrooms teach 30 pupils. Page 1 is a national report card, and Connecticut grades is only a notch above the worst. The Norwich budget section for the Board of Ed reveals student performance below par. The Council Republicans deserve credit for the first-time goal to reduce spending and reduce the real estate tax burden on us taxpayers. The Democrats' argument to increase the MER more than a Republican $1 million resolution was the copycat practice of the legislature that is the state with the largest per capita debt in this nation. For too many years, Democrats have kept raising taxes and then replaced city managers who couldn't perform miracles for their wishes. The budget demographic pages show that President Trump's MAGA slogan have raised real estate prices remarkably. But remember, the plunge from the financial crisis earlier, which is on the beginning, could be repeated. For $14, the budget is a good read. And remember, when the inmates run the institution, things have a tendency to go amok. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak to us? Yes, sir. Mr. Bowie.
Good evening, Rodney Bowie, 62 Roosevelt Avenue. You folks have done a lot of work on the budget, and I was thinking of a source of revenue. I used to work for the federal government. The federal government kicked in $1,000 for each one of us employees. I think it's high time the casinos kicked in a lot more money to this community right here. They hire people from out of state, people from out of the country. We speak, I think it was 26 languages in the education department is required. I spoke to Mr. Koulos one evening. Said when his dad came over here, they plunked him right into school. He spoke Polish, not a word of English. And they plunked him right into a classroom and started him off. That's the way he learned English. I'm not saying that's the best way to do it or anything else, but we are supporting the casino in a roundabout way. They're hiring people that they can hire at a lower wage, and we support the casino by allowing them to come to school here. If a man comes over there, hires into the casino, and he brings 3 children with him, there's no way that we can ever beat ourselves out of the bushes on that. Because it costs us about, I don't know, around $20,000 a piece for these people to go to school here. So I think it's time for the casinos to start doing their share, because just giving it to the state of Connecticut is like pouring it in a boat in the ocean.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak with us on citizen comment? Anyone else under citizen comment? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Please.
I thought I'd give everybody else a shot first before I came up here. My name is Maros Bakaris. I've been a business owner here in Norwich for about 20 years. I've been the runner of the restaurant, The Marina, for the past 2 years. I don't know if anybody recognizes me. I just came here today, guys, to tell you that, you know, I worked really hard for the past 2 years in that restaurant, and I got an offer for a 1-year lease. I feel like I put a lot of work and effort into that restaurant, and I feel like it's just been taken away. So I just hope you guys do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak under citizen comment? Yes, sir.
Robert Groner, 89 Lolo Lane, Norwich. Just to add to what Mario said, I've been a boat owner at the marina for the last 8 years, and there was an original investment put in some sod. That's all that I could see that's ever been done to that marina. We've got Ron Aliano set that marina up to last 100 years. We've got foam concrete docks, which are the best you can buy. They're unsinkable, durable. The only thing you have to do is minimum maintenance to them. That hasn't been done. Now we've got rotted boards running all around the perimeter of those concrete flotation units. We've got no restaurant. Like Mario said, he asked for a multi-year lease, and he said he was willing to invest money into the restaurant, was even talking about like a 3-season restaurant, was interested in opening a full-season restaurant in the building next to the pool that's vacant. Went to look at it. Actually, he took me on a tour through it. It's completely water damaged. It's a complete ruin. Apparently, they had a leak in the roof. Didn't even bother to throw a tarp over it, the Joyal Corporation. Everything's been stripped out from water damage. It's an empty shell. Mario was given an estimate of $500,000 to bring it back to a usable building. These people leased this. It's city property. They are responsible for the condition of it. They're responsible for maintenance. Right now we have no restaurant, no gas, deteriorating facilities, and a pool that, okay, they opened it just because they got the pump running, but there's been no repair done to the concrete surrounding the pool. It's got cracks, it's got craters, the pool furniture is falling apart. It's a disgrace. This should be the shining jewel of downtown Norwich from which all other development should radiate. We've got a carpetbagger who came down here, took advantage of a $750,000, he bought it for a song. What I don't understand now is we got a $250,000 balloon payment. I'm not sure how this balloon payment works. He wants out before the balloon payment is due. I read in the paper that he hasn't paid rent since he's been there, and then I also read that he owes $35,000 in rent. So does that mean he pays, what, less than $5,000 a year? How could you not make money in a situation like that? This was bought as a tax write-off, and now that the balloon payment's coming, he wants to get out. This guy's in violation of the lease. He should be taken to court, and he should be thrown out of town.
Thank you. Just for the record, there is a resolution later on the agenda, and if anyone wants to have their comments made as part of that public record, including if you already spoke, you have the right to do that. So I just want everyone to know that. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council during open general comment? Anyone else on the open general comment? Last time. Anyone else under open general comment? Seeing no one else, then I declare that closed. And thank you all for sharing. John? Yep.
Public hearing number 1, relative to holding a public hearing on the Neighborhood Assistance Act.
I declare this hearing open and remind individuals if you're speaking on an item or an application with the Neighborhood Assistance Act, please, for the record, state your name and address, and each person would have 3 minutes. Anyone like to speak under the Neighborhood Assistance Act? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Bill Champagne, President of the Norwich Historical Society, and my address is 7 Northwest Corner Road in Preston. And the Historical Society has 3 applications this year, all for historic buildings. And I just wanted to mention that we've been really successful in garnering funds from this program for very special buildings in Norwich. 1783, Dr. Daniel Lathrop Schoolhouse, which is now the Visitor Center, the 1789 East District Schoolhouse in Norwich Town, the 1847 Governor Buckingham House in downtown, and we've helped a couple of organizations with this program, the Society for the Founders of Norwich with their 1675 Leffingwell Inn, and UCFS for their Governor Samuel Huntington House, 1769 in Norwich Town. We currently have an agreement with the Society of the Founders of Norwich for their 2 properties with this program. The first is the 1759 David Greenleaf House, which is 2 Town Street right in front of Leffingwell Inn, and the other is the circa 1772 Silversmith Shop at 71 East Town Street. And silversmith shops are extremely rare animals at this point. Several years ago, the state legislature was considering increasing the statewide cap. There's a $5 million statewide cap for this program, and they were considering doubling that to $10 million. And I would urge those of us who are taking advantage of this program and the council to lobby the legislative team here in Norwich to potentially increase it up to $10 million. It's a great program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to address the council? Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Andra Ingalls, 5 Bulldog Drive in Ledyard. I actually am one of Ledyard's town councilors, so thank you for what you do. But I'm here tonight representing one of the organizations for the Neighborhood Assistance Act. It's called lifefacts.org. We serve in local public schools with at-risk students, mostly 8th graders. We serve in schools in New London, Montville, and we're also here at Teachers Memorial in Norwich. And what we do is we come into the public schools during the school day with a coaching program and one-on-one mentoring for at-risk students. And we work on character issues, behavior issues, and creating habits that lead to a more successful academic outcome. So this is our first time applying for the grant, and I'm here tonight really just to put a face to the name. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address us on the Neighborhood Assistance Act? Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Penny Newberry. I'm the grants director for the ARC Eastern Connecticut, 125 Sachem Street here in Norwich. And we have an application before you to be submitted for the Neighborhood Assistance Act, which people previous to me have said is a really great program. It really is. Norwich has been kind to us in the past and has approved funds for programs for us. The ARC Eastern Connecticut provides services, support, and advocacy for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities throughout the region. We have, among other programs, 22 supported group residences for people with IDD. 4 of them are in Norwich. And since the Neighborhood Assistance Act favors programs that do energy efficiency, our project is for one of our houses on Cedar Street here in Norwich for new windows, which it desperately needs. And we're hoping that the council looks favorably upon this application because it really is a great program, and a lot of nonprofits couldn't do any of these capital improvements without it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, anyone else like to join us on the Neighborhood Assistance Act? Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Allen. I live at 28 Hilltop Trail in Salem, but I'm here on behalf of Thames River Community Service, which is One Thames River Place. I'm the executive director there. This is our first time applying for the Neighborhood Assistance Program. We are looking for support with our 24-family apartment unit, affordable housing apartment unit on One Thames River Place. Our folks living in this building are residents of Norwich. They move out into the Norwich community. They work in the Norwich community. And our application is to restore. We have a 27-year-old apartment building, and as you can imagine, it has seen better days. We've had a new roof recently. We are in line for new windows with the Department of Housing, the State Department of Housing. And this application is to help us with new siding, to replace the wood, put insulation in to make it more energy efficient, and then the siding to help the building to restore it to its olden days, I guess, and to be a more efficient place for the residents and the families that we serve. So I appreciate your consideration, and I thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else like to join us, Neighborhood Assistance Act?
Good evening. Again, Brian Kobolars, 16 Hobart Avenue. All the proposals that are in the Neighborhood Assistance Act are good initiatives. They make proper sense insofar as a project that should be developed. I'm in support of all of them, but I do have words of caution that came up at the same time when I was reading through it. I realized that one applicant, the St. Vincent de Paul, is putting in for capital improvements to a building that is not owned by them. It's owned by St. Joseph Polish Roman Catholic Corporation, which is part of the Diocese of Norwich. So we do have an instance where a nonprofit would normally be acceptable to apply for this, but they are in fact funneling the money to a separate organization where they're residing. The cautionary thing is, if this is a precedent for other nonprofits to engage with other entities in any quid pro quo type arrangement, whether known or unknown, it could create a potential conflict. Further conflicts could be assumed knowing that some individuals that would either vote or have discussions on this matter would have tangible interlinks with the Diocese of Norwich, whether it be council members or corporation council. So I do not know whether or not it is appropriate for recusal to take place. Whether there is or not, I do think that the public would at least like to have a statement in advance so that this way it clears the air and the vote can move forward. I appreciate the consideration.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else under? Yes.
Again, Robert Groner, 89 Willow Lane in Norwich. I've been working with the Soup Kitchen to try and get this arrangement through the Neighborhood Act, and I've been working with them, and one of the first things I brought up was you're not going to get people to support an organization that's a religious organization, because a lot of corporation companies, banks, they have a policy against that. They tell me that they are going to be their own entity. It's going to be classified as a social service, not under the direct ownership of the diocese. They are going to own that building. This has been in the works for the last year. They're about to close on the deal and own the building. It's not going to belong to St. Joseph's. I talked to Jill Corbin just a few days ago. She said that deal is almost done. As far as she knows, it'll be done before these grants or these donations are accepted. She said that they looked up what qualifies you or disqualifies you as a religious organization, and she showed me all the points on the paper, and St. Vincent de Paul, by those state guidelines, is not considered a religious organization. They don't promote Catholicism. All they do is provide services for the poor. And they're trying to make the place more energy efficient. They're trying to make it so that they don't have to scramble every month to pay all their bills. This organization keeps people that would be wandering around downtown, gives them a place to go, provides them services, tries to help them, get them some kind of jobs or assistance or housing. They're an asset to the community. Norwich has a lot of problems. We need a place like this in Norwich. This is, to me, and they have not created problems in the neighborhood. This, to me, is a project that should be supported by the city. I think it's a no-brainer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak to us, please, on the Neighborhood Assistance Act?
I'm going to ask.
Anyone else on the Neighborhood Assistance Act?
Peter?
Sorry? Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, sorry. Could you ask if the Connecticut Radio Information System is here and if they would like to speak?
Oh. Is there someone here from the Connecticut Radio? Please, Arthur.
Good evening. My name is Art Mueller of 136 Hunters Road, number 86. I'm speaking because I have a response to that. The radio assistance is needed. The reason that the speaker is not here is that her husband passed away, and she is at the moment trying to make arrangements to recover the body and going through all that, so she was unable to appoint anyone else to speak for her. However, I have some degree of familiarity with Chris Radio in my duties as a Lion here in the Lions Club of Norwich, and I would emphasize to you that the funds for this are 100% pass-through funds. There's no overhead, there's diddly. The Lions support this organization, and what they do, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, is for the blind and visually handicapped, and even in some cases for people who just need it because they can't get around, is they read the newspapers, including the ads. The reason I know this is I used to do it. That's how I got my start. Okay, and I got yelled at for giving recipes to go with the ads, but that's another story. Regardless, it is something that the city of Norwich should support for the simple reason that we have citizens that utilize the service unbeknownst to all of us. So it is not something that I feel that should be just ignored. So I thank you for the opportunity to explain why that person is not present. She is also a resident of Norwich, but I felt I had to take you and let you know why. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, is there anyone else like to speak on the Neighborhood Assistance Act? Is there anyone else on the Neighborhood Assistance Act? Third, final time. Is there anyone else on the Neighborhood Assistance Act? Seeing no one else, then I declare that closed, and I thank you all for sharing your concerns.
Public hearing number 2, relative to holding the public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant Allocation Recommendations.
Thank you. I declare that hearing open. Again, in speaking, please state your name and address to begin with. The person that did sign up is Margaret Sosoloff.
Hello, I'm Margaret Suslov, and I'm here representing Safe Futures, and we have an office at 241 Main Street in Norwich. I'm here, we have been receiving funds from the Norwich CDBG for several years, and I just wanted to really take the time to thank the support of the town, the city, and also the recommendation from the CDAC did recommend us our request, which was for $15,000, and so I would like to that you would consider that to be our funding for this coming year. We're asking, we have a counseling office, as I said, at 241 Main Street. We're asking funding for our counseling office, and also we have a partnership collaboration with the Norwich Police, and we provide a domestic violence crisis worker there 1 day a week, and she actually goes out with police on domestic violence calls and is there at the scene of the incident. And also we work with the police through lethality assessment program. So we have a hotline just dedicated for law enforcement, and law enforcement, when they go out on domestic violence calls, call that hotline and try to connect the person in the situation to us right away. So we're asking for the $15,000 funds to help us remain at our counseling office here in Norwich, and also to help support the VAIL program. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to address the council on the Community Development Block Grant? No one else did sign up ahead of time, but that doesn't preclude your presence. If you'd like to join us, please. We'd love to hear from you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Jeffrey Arnn, I'm the Executive Director of the Norwich Housing Authority at 10 Westwood Park. I'm here to ask for your consideration for our funding for Phase 3 of the Rosewood Manor ductless split heat pump installations. We've done 2 phases so far. This will be our 3rd. These funds would serve the target group that the CDBG funds are looking to serve. We have low-income, elderly, and disabled residents, and they pay their own heating bills, so this goes directly towards saving them money. And the first 2 phases, we've done the calculations, and they've saved over 44% on their heating bills. So we'd ask for your consideration moving forward, and we thank you for your past support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else under the Community Development Block Grant Program? Yes, please.
Hi, good evening. Leanne Gomes. I'm your Human Services Director at 100 Broadway. I want to thank Kathy Crees and Tian Curtis and the committee for their recommendations this year. We were tentatively slated to receive money for our Norwich Works program, which is our adult employment and training program, where we take people who are Norwich residents And we're working with people as young as 18 years old now and move them, train them, and then move them directly into employment. And it increases their income immediately. This year, we asked that our training programs be increased from $1,000 to $1,500 because we haven't, over the course of the last few years, asked for an increase, and the training programs are a little bit higher. So we're putting students and adults through the manufacturing pipeline and the sheet metal pipeline and our medical training programs, and that's just a great program. Our rapid rehousing and shelter diversion program continues to be a great success and enables Norwich not to have to run an emergency winter shelter. And for that program, we can demonstrate that for $345, we can keep a person out of shelter, or if they go into a regional shelter, we can flip them out of a shelter very quickly. And that's a great program that we hope that we can continue. The program that we're really excited about this year is a non-public service program where the rec department is slated to receive $90,000 to improve 2 basketball courts in Taffville. There are 267 kids at Waquanic and 170 kids at Sacred Heart. You know, the Panema Mills are open. There's a lot of housing over there now. These courts will benefit low and moderate income residents and children in that area. Basketball is a safe, low-cost activity for people. With our grant, there were photos of the court right now where there's grass literally growing through, so it's really a safety hazard. So we're really looking forward to developing those courts. The rec department is on a roll. We're doing some great things with rec as far as increasing programming and improving our fields and facilities, and we hope that you can help us to continue that trend by approving the recommendations of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to address us on the Community Development Block Grant Awards? Anyone else like to address us on the Community Development Block Grant Program? Third time. Anyone who has not had a chance to speak to us, please join us. If not, then I'll declare that hearing closed, and thank you all very much.
City Manager's report.
Thank you. This is the City Manager's report for June 17th, 2019. The budget has been approved by the City Council, and City Clerk Betsy Barrett has published the required legal notice. Staff and I met to discuss assessment deferral request and to inform the Council of the procedures in place, which was presented by Assessor Donna Ralston at the Mayor's informational / workshop meeting on Saturday, June 15th. I attended the monthly Connecticut Conference of Municipalities Board meeting. State of Connecticut Treasurer Sean Wooden had a question and answer session regarding the state budget. We were also provided with a pass-fail list of bills that are tracked by CCM, public policy, and advocacy staff. I attended the retirement reception for Superintendent Abby Dolliver. Thank you for your years of service with the city's Board of Education. Abby, she's usually back right over there in that corner there. The contract between the UPSEU/COPS Local Number 24 has been ratified, and staff and I met with representatives from the fire department to discuss the ground rules for their collective bargaining agreement. Spalding Pond Beach at Mohegan Park will open on June 19th for the summer season. I would like to thank the Norwich Sunrise Rotary and Rotary Community Corps for their improvements and donations to the swimming area. Sand, new picnic tables and trash cans, a portable sink, and a sign with beach rules were donated by the groups. The beach will open 7 days a week from noon to 6 p.m., weather permitting. The brought to light Alice Walter Ruley in Norwich quilt is in the process of being displayed on the second floor of City Hall, on the side of the second floor where the city manager's offices are. Thank you to those who contributed, especially the quilters and committee that worked on this unique piece of art that honors the story and life and work The Ellis Ruder Committee will be hosting a reception in the near future to acknowledge and thank the participants. It's quite a work of art, by the way. I would like to thank David Bishop, who volunteered to refinish the Buckingham Memorial sign. I have attached a copy of the sign, which will be hung this week. Mr. Bishop repainted the Norwich Town Green sign 2 years ago and has also volunteered to repaint the Norwich Harbor mural. That's quite a challenge. That's a large mural. Thank you to the volunteers and sponsors at the 31st Annual Norwich Juneteenth celebration, which was held on Saturday, June 15th. Upcoming summer events in the city are the Rose Arts Festival, which will be held on Saturday, June 29th at Chelsea Parade during the day and throughout the downtown in the evening. A complete list of entertainment is on their website, www.roseartsfestival.com. The annual Norwich Harbor Fireworks will be held on Wednesday, July 3rd from 5 to 10 p.m. with a rain date of July 6th. And that completes my report for this evening.
Thank you. Are there questions of the city manager? Seeing none. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
At this time, I'm going to ask for suspension of the rules from the council to add a new Resolution 7. It involves the sale of 482, 492 Norwich Avenue, and the same resolution would renumber the current Resolution 7 as number 8. Could I please have a motion for suspension? Alderwoman Gould, is there a second? Alderman DeLucia. Is there discussion on the motion for suspension?
I'm just wondering that should there be a sponsor of this resolution named? There is not.
That'll be the next motion. Yes,
thank
you're
you.
absolutely correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment on the motion to suspend? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-1 on suspension. A motion, please, to add a new Resolution 7 concerning the sale of 482, 492 Norwich Avenue, and to renumber current Resolution 7 as number 8. Someone could please make that motion. Alderwoman Gould, is there a second? Alderman DeLucia. Do you want the resolution read? Yeah. We're going to, for the purpose of the public and the members of council, we're going to have the resolution read into the record.
Whereas the Council of the City of Norwich, by a resolution adopted March 18, 2019, authorized City Manager John Salamone to enter into an individual real estate listing agreement with Allen & Associates Realtor, offering the sale of property at 482, 492 Norwich Avenue at a price recommended by Allen & Associates Realtor. And whereas the council further resolved that upon receipt of a purchase and sale agreement containing an offer to purchase at a price recommended by Allen & Associates Realtor and containing such terms and conditions as was satisfactorily to the city manager, he was to notify the council of the proposed purchase and sale agreement for its consideration and possible approval. And whereas the city bid $28,050 for said property at a foreclosure sale and acquired title to the same on January 8, 2018 by foreclosure of sale committee deed recorded at volume 3051, page 46 of the Norwich Land Records. And whereas Allen & Associates Realtor has received a number of offers to purchase the property, the highest offering being a sum of $40,000, which it recommends the property to be conveyed in as is condition. Now therefore be resolved by the Council of the City of Norwich that City Manager John Salamone be and hereby is authorized and directed to enter into a purchase and sale agreement on behalf of the City of Norwich to sell said property at a price of $40,000 to Victor Properties, LLC, pursuant to the terms of said purchase and sale agreement, and upon timely tender of the purchase price, subject to standard adjustments, to execute and deliver a deed of conveyance to Victor Properties LLC or its designee for the property known as 492 Norwich Avenue, and to execute, deliver, and receive such other documents as are necessary to complete the transfer of title in keeping with the terms and conditions of the purchase and sale agreement.
Thank you. Accept a motion, please, to place the sponsor's name on the resolution. Alderwoman Gould. Is there a second? Alderwoman Burnham. Does the council have any takers? Alderman Gould. Anyone else? Fine, thank you. Let the amendment show that Alderman Gould is added as the sponsor as this resolution moves forward. All those in favor of the amendment, please, to add a sponsor. Those opposed? Thank you. That measure passes 5-1. Final vote, please, to add it to the agenda. All those in favor? Anyone opposed?
Are we still on the same?
Adding it to the agenda, the final vote. Yes.
I oppose. I will speak more fully when it comes up during the regular.
Thank you. Thank you.
Meeting.
Again, all those in favor of adding it to the agenda, please. Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. Motion is 5-1.
So citizen comment on resolutions.
Thank you. I declare citizen comment on resolutions. First person signed up is Marvin Ceruto.
Marvin Ceruto, 100 Star Street, Norwich, Connecticut, United States of America. I just wanted to address Resolution 8, formerly 7. I don't know where to start. I'll quote the gentleman earlier saying it should be a gem of this town. I was trying to think where I'd rate it here myself, whether it should be top 10, top 5. It should be a gem of this town. But where do we go from here once this is issued? We've got 45 days, then what can happen? I'm 61 years old. I don't remember the marina really being a gem ever. I'd like to hear you discuss that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Gail Enos.
Good evening. Gail Ennis, 4 Quinnebog Drive in Preston. I'm not a resident of Norwich, but would like permission to speak about the Norwich Marina Resolution. Yes. My husband Ken and I own a 32-foot rinker and currently have a contract with Mr. Joyle at the Norwich Marina. We've been at the marina for 5 years as boat owners, and before that patronized the restaurant and attended events there many times throughout the years. Although I live in Preston, most of my life involves Norwich. I have worked here in Norwich for the past 14 years and have supported your dentists, doctors, and numerous other businesses in town. Tonight, I am joined by others from the Norwich Marina, and we would like to thank the council for recognizing the general disrepair and lack of maintenance at the marina and the inconvenience caused to many of us by removing the fuel tanks, unbeknownst to many of us, until our yearly fee was paid. The resolution you are putting forward tonight to send notice to JCM to comply with the requirements of their lease with the city is greatly appreciated by us all, and we look forward to finally getting back the marina we all fell in love with, and it definitely was a gem. If I may ask a question of the council as you enter executive session, if Mr. Joyle refuses to comply during the 30-day and 45-day period, what is the interim fix at the marina as far as daily operations there? That is a major concern for all of us. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you very much, Gail. Mark Block.
Good evening. My name is Mark Block. I'm an attorney. I practice at 138 Main Street in Norwich, and I'm here this evening to speak on behalf of Darwin, Alex, and Bradley Gebbe as to Resolution Number 6 concerning the tax deferment on the project known as the Hills at Riverview, which is located on Taft Hill Ockham Road. The project consists of 11 completed and occupied buildings, plus it includes plans for additional buildings and a community center, which is presently under construction and which I trust you are familiar. We are here this evening to request that the council approve a modification to the assessment deferral agreement that was approved in January 2013 under Connecticut General Statute Section 12-65E. The deferral agreement phased in taxes over a period of 7 years, with the assessments on the buildings phased as the units were constructed and phases completed. In other words, as a phase of the project was permitted and constructed, taxes on that phase would be phased in over a period of 7 years. This deferral agreement provides that if the property is transferred, the agreement does not pass to the new owner and it terminates. In other words, it is not assignable. My clients are in the process of refinancing the project under Freddie Mac loan program, which requires that the mortgage property be secured only by the completed buildings. The LLC owning the property being mortgaged can conduct no other business than owning the completed buildings and collecting tenant rents. It can't include the rest of the project, which is still under construction. In order to accomplish this requirement, we propose to transfer the 11 completed buildings and buildings which are occupied to a new limited liability company, which will be known as the Hills 11 LLC. This new company will be owned by Darwin, Alex, and Bradley Gebbe. They are the owners of the Hills at Riverview, the main project, and they will continue to be the owners of the Hills at Riverview, which will be completed as planned. There is no change in the project or the plans, just the transfer of 11 buildings into a separate company, which Freddie Mac calls a single-purpose entity. The transfer to this single-purpose entity, the Hills 11 LLC, will satisfy the requirements of the loan. Further, there is no change in the deferral agreement or in the deferment schedule. To assist you...
Could you please stick around?
Yes.
I'm sure council members will have questions.
Okay.
And we'll be happy to entertain further information from you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Only if you want those comments on the public record dealing with the resolutions. They are under open citizen comment, but they're not attached directly to the resolutions at hand. The next person signed up is Cindy Litton. Yes. She will be speaking to us from her chair.
My name is Cindy Litton. I live at 568 North Main Street in Norwich. I'm testifying in support of the resolution number 4, which would create a committee to ensure the accurate census count in Norwich. I am especially gratified that this commission, this committee in its conclusion includes the representation from the Norwich Commission for Persons with Disabilities, in which I am a original founding member, one of. This inclusion illustrates that the that the city, that the serious with which the city no, thank you. The city, the city regards the well-being of its residents with disabilities. According to the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, the 2020 census is among the most important civil rights issues today. When communities are underrepresented, they are deprived of equal political and representation and access to resources. The city rights city rights relevance of an accurate count then dovetails with the Commission's mandate to promote, encourage, and celebrate the city's compliance with Title II of the American Disabilities Act. Thank you for the opportunity on resolution number 4.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I may be out of order, but I'd like to request that her printed document be added to the journal of the meeting.
Certainly. Thank you. Yep. We'll see that happens. Mr. Stephen Rezniak.
Good evening, council members. My name is Stephen Rezniak from 85 Tollgate Road in Rocky Hill, and I'm actually a managing partner of Victor Properties, and I am a local real estate investor. Today I submitted an offer on the property located at 482 Norwich Avenue, and I came here today just to briefly talk a little bit about myself and my intent for this property. This particular property is in obviously bad shape. Investors that I speak with have told me that it has zero value and that everybody else has sort of passed on it, but I disagree. And the reason I disagree is because 3 years ago I purchased a property in Danielson, Connecticut that was very similar to this one. It was a 6-unit multifamily structure and it had succumbed to fire, and it sat vacant and distressed for a number of years. Possibly another property other investors didn't want to contend with. I have some packets here. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to pass them out to the council members or not. In these packets, the first page shows some before photos of this Danielson property that I restored, and on the second page it shows the after photos. And this was a complete rehab of this particular property, from complete plumbing, electrical, HVAC, sheetrock, kitchens, bathrooms, you name it, everything had to be restored. Only the framing was able to be salvaged and nothing else. In the end, we were able to create a brand new energy efficient 6-unit that had no comparisons in Danielson. The last page of that packet includes some of the individuals that we either work with on the project or live in the units, and they provided some testimony for myself. Besides myself, I have a close friend who would be co-managing the project with me. Scott Pesco has attended this meeting, and he's a project manager for the city of Hartford. He has extensive experience with fire damaged properties, performed inspections for the city, and has a lifelong background in construction. The project's going to require a lot of resources and money to get it restored, and I have little doubt that I can make that happen. And when I'm done, it'll become a source of pride for the city of Norwich and the 6 families that will end up residing in it. I truly hope that you can sincerely understand my passion for what I do in restoring of these properties. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to the council on the resolutions on the agenda this evening who has not signed up? And it looks like, yes, Mr. Kraft.
Good evening, David Kreb, 47 Prospect Street. I'll address resolution number 4. You should correct the label for this resolution because it's no longer a census. I believe in the Norwich budget, it's called an American Community Survey. And it's the second one that's been accomplished. The first one, I received numerous census documents, which to me led to Norwich having the higher census that it was awarded than actually is in the city. So I believe you should change it to the American Community Survey if that's correct, because this is almost like the tribal revenues that go to the state, where the legislature massages the tribal donation to the state, and then is distributed according to the legislature's desires among the 169 municipalities. There's another hand in there massaging everything. So the census died in 2000. It's the survey, which is a statistical form of counting individuals, which statistics are kind of misleading unless you follow the script tightly. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak on the resolutions on the agenda? Yes, sir. Mr. Groner.
Robert Groner again, 89 Lowell Lane. I want to apologize for standing up and commenting and the general citizen's comment. I do want to comment on the resolution regarding the marina in support of it. Again, the property was bought for $750,000. As far as I can see, there's been minimal amount of money put into it. They owe the city $35,000. I understand they haven't paid anything since they've been there. That amounts to $4,500 a year. How they cannot make money under this situation is, I just find it very perplexing. I think it's been used as a tax write-off. I think these people are trying to get out of the balloon payment next year. And again, in response to a previous comment as to why is this a gem of the city, I'm 69 years old, and I remember when that was just a derelict coal deposit property from the 40s or something, and it was rat infested and full of junk, and it was nothing. Ron Aliano had the vision to make something out of it, and he got halfway through his vision and then he died. Then these people took over, and it's going nowhere. I'm just concerned that this is going to end up to be another one of Norwich's broken dreams, and we've had enough of those, and this is a jewel downtown. This is our harbor. This is the juncture of 3 rivers. This could be a destination marina. The proximity of the 2 casinos could generate more interest in the marina, more interest downtown. This is where it was supposed to be headed. Now it's stalled. Nothing's been done. This company, Joyal, doesn't have any intention of doing anything. They're demanding what they're demanding. I think it's 1.8 million. There have been people interested, willing to pay a fair price, willing to invest in this marina. And they have not been able to deal with Joyal because Joyal has been my way or the highway from day one. They will not replace the tanks. They will not negotiate with a restaurateur. They will not repair the facility. It's time to hold their feet to the fire. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak to us on the resolution? Yes, Mr. Bowie.
Rodney Boyd, 62 Roosevelt Avenue, Norwich. Under item 7, as many of you know, I'm a landlord. I'm surprised that we've let this place run down as bad as we have. I caught wind of it about 6 months ago that the place was a mess, and I couldn't believe it. I don't get down there that often. But as a landlord, if you want me to serve as notice of quit this afternoon, we'll do it. I got a couple in my truck right now. Let's get these people out of here.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to us on the resolutions? Yes, sir. Mario.
Marius Picaris, 181 West Town Street. Again, I just want to rectify that you have a restaurateur. I'm ready to invest into the restaurant. I want nothing more than that place to be open. And I just need a lease. That's it. 1 year doesn't do it. I even negotiated to 3 years. I was supposed to get 10. That's what was promised to me. So that's all that's anything else you guys, if you have any questions about the restaurant or afterwards, if anybody wants to literate anything, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Again, anyone want to speak to the resolutions?
My name is Art Mueller, 136 Hunters Road, number 86. I seldom speak to the council. I freely share my opinions of Norwich and what I think of the city. And what I'd like to say is very simple. I have been a boater since I was 13 years old. I'm currently 73. I have had everything from a 10-foot canoe to a 48-foot cabin cruiser. And I literally lived on my cabin cruiser for a period of time. I'm familiar with marinas. I felt very good when the marina opened. I don't feel so good now. One of the things that I've learned in my travels is that a place like the marina can be a revitalization effort by the city where it is. We have a problem with this. I believe that the city of Norwich has the ability and the resolution to solve that problem. I realize there are going to be hurdles to jump through. First one that pops to my mind is getting the property and getting control over it. I'm not an attorney, although I did sleep at a Holiday Inn years ago, okay? But I'm certain that there are ways that that can be handled. On the other side of the coin, as I said, I did not originally come here to speak about this matter, but simply because of my knowledge of the boating industry, having been an active participant of it, having been a plank holder, which is the way of saying one of the original organizers of a yacht club in Mystic, I urge you not to let Norwich lose this opportunity, and I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Brian?
Brian Kovalar, 16 Hobart Avenue. One more bite at the apple, and I will warn out my welcome. I want to align my comments with all the others that you've heard tonight on the marina. It's been somewhat unanimous. What I would add to that, though, is this. As you consider the future, I would encourage all of you to please think about a master plan of development that encompasses the entire waterfront, not only what the Harbor Management Commission is working on right now, an update of their plan, but also to include the other properties, what we want to do, what's going to happen with the large development that's going to take place only a couple miles downriver. That is going to change this entire area radically for the next 20 to 40 years. We need to plan accordingly, have that included in there. This may be a good opportunity to reinvigorate the redevelopment agency, which can carry forward from one administration to another and work with developers in the future. So I encourage all of you to do that after you move on tonight's motion and go through your executive session. One other comment going back to the earlier, which is also reflected in tonight's resolutions, related to the Neighborhood Assistance Act. Again, want to stress, was in support of all of the basic initiatives that are listed. My tale was only one of caution insofar as some of the legalities with one organization doing a capital investment in the property of a different organization. There is nothing that we know of at this time, that I'm aware of, that says that their presence will be there for the time, the duration of that improvement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd also like to speak on the resolutions. Yes, please.
My name is Tammy Cassell. I live at 58 Finley Hill Road in Marlborough, Connecticut. I've been at the marina for 8 years. When I first got there, it was awesome. And when Joyelle bought it in 2011, nothing has been done to it. And I've seen, we don't have a restaurant where we enjoyed having a restaurant. There's no tent where there was, when I first got there, there was something there every weekend, a wedding or a party, or, and now the tent's not even up. The town of Norwich is losing so much money. And I really wish you guys would do something to stop the bleeding before America's Wharf goes down so far that you're not going to be able to bring it back up again. We had some transients that came in a couple weeks ago from Long Island. They came in, the pool wasn't open, the bathrooms are a mess, the place is just, it's just paint chipping everywhere, and they left. So when they go back to Long Island and speak to their friends, they're going to say the place is a dump, the word's going to spread, and then, because America's Wharf, they make their money from the transients that are coming in, under the tent, the people coming in to use the restaurant, and Joyelle doesn't care, never cared. I don't know if they wanted to just flip it, but we need somebody there who cares about Norwich, who has a vision of making America's Wharf great again, like Ron Aliano had a vision. And I hate to see it go because it's got so much potential. There's so many people leaving the marina, and it's not just about the gas. It's just about, we just want some basic things like leave the lights on in the parking lot so you can be safe walking up to the facilities if you have to, or, you know, like when a couple boats got broken into, we just wanted like maybe a camera at the end of each dock so people could see, you know, who's coming down, and like any small thing that we've asked, it's just been no, 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 and if you don't like it, take your friends and leave. And so it's just been really upsetting to me that that it's gotten the way that it has, and I would hope that you guys would do something to try to save Norwich, because we all come down there, we spend money at the restaurants, we go to all the stores, we're shopping. We want to be there. We don't want it to end. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on the resolutions? Anyone else to speak on the resolutions? Third time, anyone would like to speak on the resolutions? Seeing no one else, I'd like to declare this closed, and thank you all for sharing your concerns.
Resolution 1, relative to approving the list of applicants under the Neighborhood Assistance Act.
Motion, please, to bring this resolution forward. Alderwoman Gould, is there a second, please? Alderman Burnham, is there discussion? Yes, Alderman Philbin.
Just for clarification, there are no city taxpayer funds involved in this Neighborhood
No.
Assistance Act, correct?
No,
Thank you.
not at all. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's unanimous. The vote is 6-0.
Number 2, relative to reappointments as regular members to the Commission for Persons with Disabilities.
Motion, please. Alderwoman Gould, is there a second? Alderman Joe DeLucia, is there discussion? Yes, Alderman Gould.
I'd just like to thank Kevin and Cindy for their tireless work on the Commission for Persons with Disabilities, and it's a pleasure to have you both be willing to continue to serve.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. The vote is 6-0.
Number 3, relative to participation in a cost-sharing program with the City of Norwich to construct concrete sidewalks and to set a public hearing date for July 1st, 2019.
Motion, please. Alderwoman Gould, is there a second? Alderman Burnham, thank you. Is there discussion? Yes, Alderwoman Philbrick.
I'm sorry, did you say July of 2019?
Yes.
It says in the resolution June of 2019.
Oh,
It will be set the second week.
What's that?
We're going to set it this week.
could you please speak to that?
I believe it says the public hearing will be set at the second meeting in July. So at this meeting, we're setting the public hearing.
July 1st. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. The vote is 6-0.
Number 4, relative to create the Norwich 2020 Census Complete Count Committee.
Motion, please, to bring this forward. Alderwoman Gould, is there a second? Alderman Browning, is there discussion? Yes.
Thank you. I'd just like to make a clarification about the American Community Survey. It is not in addition to the census. It's a supplement to the census, so it occurs every 1, 3, and 5 years, depending on the population of your municipality. So the smaller your population, the less often it happens. It's just supposed to supplement so that we can have continuous data to be able to set resource allocations and look at our demographics and the many other wonderful things that the census does. So it's not in addition. You're not being counted multiple times. It's just to supplement the decennial census. And I would like to say that thank you to everybody serving on the committee. There's concerns about undercounting in this upcoming census, and it's really important to have a committee like this so that everybody's counted, long form, short form, somebody coming to your house. Please take the time, do your civic duty, and complete the census, because that is how resources, not only for congressional seats and whatever, but how resources are allocated to cities. So please complete the census. Thank you. And thank you to everybody volunteering.
Thank you very much. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Passes. Resolution 6-0.
Resolution 5, relative to the sale of 4345 Fountain Street.
A motion, please, to bring it forward. Alderwoman Gould, is there a second? Alderman DeLucia. Is there discussion? be amended, the amount. I please ask for an amendment to the Resolution 5. The amount that needs to be filled in is $36,000.
Thank you.
A motion, please.
So moved.
Alderman DeLucia, second by Alderwoman Gould. And, excuse me, for the record also, the buyer is Wendy Baquero, B-A-Q-U-E-R-O. That needs to be filled in as well in the last paragraph. She is the purchaser.
The spelling on the last name again, please.
Yes, capital B-A-Q-U-E-R-O. Wendy ends with I-E, by the way. It's a little different. All those in favor of the motion to add the name and cost, please? A purchase, I should say. Thank you. All those in favor of, or is there further discussion on the resolution as amended? Seeing none, all those in favor, please. Motion passes as amended. Vote is 6-0.
Number 6, relative to approving an amendment permitting transfer regarding assessment deferral agreement for the Hills at Riverview LLC.
A motion, please, to put this on the floor. Alderman Gould, second. Alderman DeLucia. Expecting questions. Mr. Block, could you please join us again at the podium? Alderman DeLucia.
Attorney Block, I would just like to give you the opportunity to finish
Thank you.
what you were saying, and then I may have a question.
Where I had left off was, I have a chart that was prepared in connection with the phase-in of the assessment deferral to show you where we are and that there are no changes in this schedule. As you will see, we have the buildings which are numbered on the left-hand column, numbers 100 through 1100, which are the 11 buildings. And we have the number of units per building, and then we have the tax rates pursuant to the deferral schedule. As you can see, buildings 1 and 2, which were finished and completed at the time that my clients bought the property, are being taxed at 100%, and they have been for several years. Buildings 3 and 4 have already received the benefit of the 7-year deferment, and they're being taxed, or will be taxed, at 100% beginning in 2019. As to the rest of the buildings, they will receive the phase-in of the taxes in accordance with the deferral agreement, which defers 100% of the tax for the first 2 years and then phases in the taxes over the next 5 years. For instance, under the deferral agreement, buildings 5 and 6 will be paying 80%, building 7 will be at 70%, and so on if you follow the chart. So there's no change in the schedule. All we're doing is changing the company that owns the buildings for the purpose of the financing. The owners will remain the same, the 3 Gebbys, just we're segregating out the buildings themselves. The rest of the project will continue to be built out in accordance with the approved plans. The buildings that are under construction are not now subject to this deferral agreement, so that would not take effect until those buildings are finished and certified as completed by the building department. I would also note that other than the assistance that the council has provided by the means of this tax deferment, there has been no public money that's been involved in this development. This is all private money, private financing. There's no state money, no city money. But my clients do appreciate the benefits that they have gotten from the assessment that the deferral that the city has granted. I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Other questions?
Actually,
Go ahead.
you answered my only question, and that had to do with the buildings that are under construction and are yet to be started. And so I'm satisfied
Thank you very much.
with your answer. Thank you.
Any other members of? Yes, Alderman Browning.
Perhaps I'd just like to ask our city planner if she would answer a question. Thank you. Given that we've already approved the original deferment, is there any reason not to approve this one?
I don't see there's any issue with that. It's just a change because of the entities is changing. The ownership, really, the name of the ownership, no, I don't see anything.
Okay.
From a planning perspective, I don't see anything.
Just double checking.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Yes, Alderwoman Filbert.
I would just like to ask you to relay to your client that I wish the city of Norwich had more developers like this. This group has come in and done a quality project. They're embarking on another one. They have asked for very little. They are vested in the community, and I think we should be doing everything we can to facilitate them because they are the developer that we need. We need more like them that are above board, they're professional, they're responsible. So I will be supporting this. And this is basically a housekeeping issue, isn't it?
For us, it's a housekeeping issue.
So,
We appreciate the sentiment. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Yes, Alderwoman Gould.
I would just like to also throw my support behind Resolution Number 6. I think it's a beautiful project that you're going to be finishing, and I can't wait to see what you do with West Ledge Drive, because that property's been sitting vacant now, what, 10 years since that fire at Peachtree?
2008.
All right, so 11 years. So I'm excited that we're going to be doing something over there, and I'm sure it will be just as beautiful as the other project you completed, this project, and I think it's just tremendous that you are willing to put your time and effort into the city of Norwich to bring us beautiful housing for our residents.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution? Unanimous vote is 6-0.
Number 7, relative to the sale of 482-492 Norwich Avenue.
Motion, please, to bring it forward. Alderman Gould, is there a second? Alderwoman Filbert, is there discussion? Alderman Browning?
I've dealt with this building on the Public Works Committee, and I like the photos, and I also appreciate the fact that you're from in-state. The people who own the two buildings to the south of you are based out of Flushing, and that's where a lot of the problems come from. So do not take any of my comments as a negative comments towards you. Building is in hellacious shape. Its two sister buildings, or brother buildings as you want to call, are presently condemned because of systematic problems, including structure, plumbing, other utilities. High-density buildings, since this one is empty, I would prefer to tear it down. I know I'm going to lose this vote. It's something I've previously expressed my sentiment on, but I would love to have you stick around and develop another building in Norwich. But we'll take a vote this evening, and you'll know where you stand.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Yes, Alderwoman Gould.
I'll be supporting Resolution 7. I appreciate the fact that Victor Properties is willing to step up to the plate with this building. That's a challenge. Yes, it is in disrepair, but obviously you know what you're doing with fire-damaged buildings, and I hope that this will encourage the owner of the other 2 buildings to bring his property up to where it needs to be. Taking the building down would have been a challenge as well, since it's inside an historic district, and you've seen what happens when we have buildings inside a historic district that the state doesn't want us to touch, you know, one little brick. So I appreciate the fact that you're willing to take on this challenge. I think it will bring some new vibrancy to that end of Norwich Avenue and encourage the owner of the brother and sister building, or the 2 buildings closest to it, to bring his property up to the same condition as you'll get this property to. So thank you for your commitment to the city of Norwich.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution? Opposed? Motion passes 5-1 for the record.
I hereby move pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Section 1-200, subsection 6, that the members of the Norwich City Council go into an executive session for the purpose of discussing pending claims to which the city is a party, as well as the acquisition or disposition of real estate or interest in real estate when publicly regarding the proposed acquisition or disposition would cause a likelihood of an increased price to acquire and a diminished price to dispose of the property. City Manager John Salamone, Comptroller Josh Pothier, Director of Planning and Neighborhood Services Deanna Rhodes, and Corporation Counsel Michael E. Driscoll shall be asked to participate during all or portions of this executive session at the request of the City Council. Attorney Glenn Carberry may be asked to participate during all or portions of this executive session at the request of the Council.
Thank you. Is there a second? Alderman Philbrick. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 319, please.
You will hear from some of the dignitaries here momentarily. Within these walls every day, students, families, teachers, and visitors come together to have fun and to learn about our changing world through the lens of science, and perhaps most importantly at this moment, to see themselves in the science fields, which continue to offer such great opportunities and great need here in Connecticut. We are fortunate to have a dedicated Board of Trustees who lead, guide, and advise and support us in our work. And that gives me the moment to introduce to you one of our trustees who's been with us a long time, from her days as a senior leader at the Hartford, and since then, even after departing the company for other endeavors, as a person bringing great experience in industry, as the mom of kids, which is not a small qualification here, and as a leader in higher education, to her role as the Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees. Please welcome Elizabeth Zlatkis.
Back over to you. So thank you for all coming. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to really appreciate your attendance at this very important celebratory event. You know, the history of the Science Center is much longer than the 10 years that we have been open. The Science Center truly began with the convening of a board of leaders from throughout the state of Connecticut in education, government, and business who created a shared vision for this institution. These leaders had, and they continue to have, a vision for the future of this state, and the Connecticut Science Center embodies that vision. As a building that has truly transformed the skyline of our capital city, the Science Center represents the ingenuity, innovation, and creativity that has driven scientific discovery and the economy of our state. We are proud to build on that tradition as we look to the next 10 years. My colleagues and I on the Board of Trustees, we truly appreciate this inheritance and take it seriously. We are once again carefully building plans for the future. Our strategic plan has focused the Science Center on areas most important to our community and our state, such as workforce development and ensuring access to educational opportunities for all students across the state. You know, I was recently at the Science Center, actually last night and earlier last week. I went to observe 2 classes that the Science Center is putting on for students across the state. What I was not surprised about was the quality of the instruction. It was outstanding, but I had already heard the accolades from teachers and students who come to these classes. What really inspired me was how much fun I was having. I wanted to lean over and see the experiments myself. The kids were not shy and not raising their hands. They were fighting to get attention, to answer the questions and observations. And I thought to myself, I don't recall thinking science was when I was younger. And had I, what would that do? I believe that the Science Center does inspire and will continue to inspire students so that they get into careers in STEM and they stay in the state and they become the workforce of our future. I really recommend anyone that has the time to come and observe. So our work with children and families, with teachers throughout the Mandel Academy, and with our community as a whole has never been greater. And we personally appreciate all of the contributions of all of our donors, and I want a special thank you to the Mandel family for all that they've done for educational opportunities in our state. So on behalf of the board, I thank Governor Lamont. Thank you for coming and thank you for your support. All of our legislators, leaders, the staff here at the Connecticut Science Center, they are awesome. And our friends and supporters for making possible everything that the Connecticut Science Center is and will be. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Beautiful remarks, and I know appreciated. And I incidentally wanted to take the opportunity to also welcome all of the trustees who have joined us today and joined us on so many occasions. It's great to have you with us. It took a special formula to create the Science Center. Starting at about 2001, the state, business, education, and community leaders saw that Connecticut needed to redefine itself. It wouldn't be an NFL team. It wouldn't be low-cost manufacturing. It wouldn't be any single silver bullet. What it would be was a reinvestment in the same things that made Connecticut great: inventions, ideas, and the talent to execute on them. This iconic building, as Liz said, is not just architecturally significant. It represents a statement and a self-view that we remain and will ever be a community of innovators.
The council come back to order. I would ask for a motion, please, to come back from executive session. Alderwoman Burnham, second by Alderwoman Gould. All those in favor of the motion? It's unanimous, 6-0. Let the record stand that no votes were taken. Okay, I'll get it on. I entertain a motion, please, to bring Resolution 8 to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, is there a second? Alderwoman DeLucia, please. Mr. Corporation Counsel?
The resolution before you tonight has to do with the resolution tonight has to do with the issuing of notices with respect to cure obligations under the lease, as well as determinations of the extent to which they should be given. Attorney Carber is here tonight, and I will speak to him after the meeting to start the discussion going.
Question. The resolution before us, as I understand it, refers to given the notices that are required forth in the lease, 30 days in regards to any rent, 45 days in regards to any cure or replacement or repair in regards to maintenance in general. Would you consider that a true assessment?
I think it's a fair assessment of the language of the lease and the language of the development agreement.
Thank you. Is there discussion? Alderman Browning.
I will not be commenting on my vote this evening, except to say that I will be allowing our corporate counsel to pursue any results or negotiations or any legal action as a result of this matter.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. It's unanimous. And for the record, Alderman Nash was not here. There was a death in his wife's family, so he was traveling to Pennsylvania. Just wanted to put that on the record. He would have been here otherwise. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn by Alderman Gould. Is there a second? Alderwoman Filbert. All those in favor of adjournment? It's unanimous. The vote is 6-0.